Mr. Mayor, members of council, I just wanted to give a quick update on kind of how things have progressed over the last 7 months since we started recycling. The first day of recycling collection was July 17th. So we've got a few months under our belt and just wanted to let you know kind of how things are going. So our final delivered cart number, we delivered 12,302 carts. We had somewhere around about 2,500 opt-outs. We have about an 80% participation rate. That's based on basically carts sitting in people's driveways. If we dig in a little deeper and we look at we can get data off of all of our trucks and look at verified tips and things of that nature. So you look at the set-out rate, and of those 80%, we're collecting, looking at the averages 63, 71, somewhere around about 65% of the people that have a cart are putting it out every collection period. So not terrible bad. We have pretty good participation, a lot of interest in the program. One of the neat things that we got as part of the recycling partnership grant is that they funded a complete composition study. So a company called Kessler Consulting came in, and they set up the pictures you see on the screen. They set up a tent with, excuse me, with different bins, and they took a representative sample from every route that our drivers collect. Somewhere in the neighborhood of about 200-pound representative sample, and then they broke all the trash and all the recycling down into 50 different components, individual components, to find out what all of our trash is made of and what all of our recycling is made of, and then gave us some data. And some of the key findings in our recycling stream, about 62% of our entire recycling stream is recycled paper and cardboard. About 20% is recyclable containers, plastic bottles, steel, tin, aluminum cans, things of that nature, and then about 17% contaminants. The 17% should have an asterisk by it. The day that they did the recycling composition study on, I think it was the Tuesday route, it was raining. So any garbage cans that maybe had the lids open would have gotten some wet material. And one of the main contaminants in the recycling of that 17% was wet paper and cardboard. So that's kind of an anomaly. But I'll show you here on the next page, we actually have a sort of what our material actually looks like. But in the trash stream, we found that about 20% of what's in the trash is still recyclable. Not surprising, since we have about 20% of the population that's not recycling. So there's some room for improvement there. About 33% is compostable material, and 50% was other garbage. Pet waste, plastic film, diapers, textiles, things of that nature. Then when they take that data and they break it down to capture rates, we're capturing about 38.6% of our program recyclables. So it's definitely lower than we'd like to see, but it gives us an idea of where we are. And I guess one thing I should add here, these percentages are based on the number of collections on each route. So that would be, basically, so they're based on the 80% population that's participating, 9,000 some odd people. But when you look at the set-out rate, basically the math should probably be done with that 65% of that number. So these collection rates were actually higher because the set-out rate is a lower population, so you're dividing by a smaller number. We're capturing about 69% of corrugated cardboard, just under 50% of recycled paper, and about 25% of containers. So then just to give an idea of kind of how this goes. So when we collect our material here in Minot, we compact it into trailers, we haul it to a facility in DEMCON. So once we got our first trailers, we were program for DEMCON. So what they do with the new program is based on, we give them, it's about 18 tons on a truck. So we give them material and they pay us based on their facility average. So their facility accepts glass and accepts materials that aren't as a part of our program. But until they have an opportunity to basically have to shut their entire facility down, they have to clean it all out, and then they run our material through all by itself. And then once they are able to do that, then we actually get paid based on what our actual material composition is. So what you see here, this is a combination of what our sort looks like versus a facility average, and then kind of how that would translate into value. So the columns on the left, you can see there when you look at the value and the rates, that comes to the ACR is the average commodity rebate of $71.54, and then we get 80% of that. So we were getting $57.23 basically through the first 6 months of the program. So then on December 11th, I have on screen there, they did our sort. So the one big finding is that the facility average had about 16.5% glass. Our stream has less than 1%. So instead of paying $15.84 a ton, we're only paying about 9 cents. So we have a very clean recycling stream. And then our clean recycling stream basically comes back into a higher rebate for our material. So you can see the ACR with our material, that's if markets stay the same. The commodity rebate or the commodity market values, those change on a monthly basis. But if they were to stay the same, our ACR would jump to about 113, and then we get 80% of that, so about $90. So then the big numbers for our program are the processing fee and the transport fee. Those are the two big costs to us. So we're paying about $77 a ton processing, and we're transporting for about $140 a ton. And then we get a rebate back of, if commodity markets stay the same, and say at the end of January, if our rebate is $90, so we're more than breaking even on the processing, and then we're starting to chip away at some of that transport number. So I just graphed these just to show kind of how that delta has closed up now that we've done our sort, and then we should get higher value for the material that we're sending to Minneapolis. But just to remind the council that these are commodity markets, they're cyclical, they go up and down. So just a couple of facts down on the screen. Over the last 3 years, commodity markets have probably been as low as $20 to $30 a ton, and they've been as high as 150 or close to 200 for certain materials. And then in 2001, mixed paper in particular was a minus $10 a ton. So you had to actually pay to get rid of it. It was just like having trash or glass in the recycling stream. So all in all, I think the values and the numbers look pretty decent. We went into this, I hope I did a good job of educating you that this wasn't going to be a money-making proposition, but we were trying to manage the costs as good as we could and make it as cost-effective program as possible. And I think we're really close. So then what's next? We have the data, so we can do a little more education. Christina, our recycling coordinator, she's been out in the school system. She's been doing some of those things. We still need to get out in public and maybe do some bin audits where we're seeing routes with certain issues, so we can help reduce those contaminants and keep the stream looking good. Try to increase capture rates of some of the higher value materials. We're only collecting, 50% of containers. I think I read a study the other day. I think they said aluminum cans, basically 1 in 2 gets recycled. So just through normal activities, you're losing 50%, and that's obviously the highest value commodity we have in the stream. Increased participation, so there is still room to increase the residential. We have that 20% block that isn't, so anybody that wants to participate, they can call us and we'll get them set up. There's a lack of a commercial program. We've had people that have reached out. We don't do commercial collection. We're not set up to do commercial collection. And it sounds like some companies have actually reached out to some of the private haulers and they're not interested in in setting up recycling collection. So that's, I think, a nut we have to crack and figure out what makes sense there, whether it's the city standing up a commercial recycling program or what that looks like, but definitely some things to think about. Regional access, we have all the small communities in the 6 counties that we take trash from. So making sure that they're aware that we have a program now. I've been told that the Minot Air Force Base is working on a program that they'll start bringing us material. So definitely things to work on, but all in all, I think the takeaway is we continue to monitor and make improvements as we need. And with that, I would stand for any questions.
Are there any questions of Jason?
Oh,
Carrie.
I also have recycling questions. So I was going to pull like from 7 months ago. So are the commodity prices consistent with what you had projected? Like, is there any surprises?
Mayor Russ, Alderwoman Evans, no, when we first got into this, commodity numbers were very low. So actually seeing a number of 90 right now is not bad. I'm probably surprised that they've rebounded as much as they have in just the last 6 months.
Has there been any, because I know people are, still annoyed they can't recycle glass. Has there been any improvements in that commodity market?
In which one?
Glass.
No.
Okay, I didn't think so, but
there just aren't
I want
great
people to hear
options.
that.
Yeah.
Mom, if you're listening, I want you to hear that. Okay, I just can't understand why we just can't suck it up and do glass. Feedback or observations on if the every other week is sufficient. Are people's carts overflowing? Or have we hit a sweet spot with every other week? Like, what's that looking like?
Mayor Ross, Alderwoman Evans, I would probably need a little more data. Anecdotally, I'm a family of 4, and a couple of my kids are a little bit older, so they're probably not as round for dinner as much. And every 2 weeks, my container is pretty much full. We have a fairly significant amount of people that have signed up with 2 containers, and we've had people that have called and asked for weekly recycling collection. So I think it depends who you talk to. Obviously, there's some older people in our population. It's just a husband and wife, and they've opted out because they're like, we wouldn't fill that thing in 2 months. So it's trying to find that balance between what works the best. We're probably in a pretty good position where we are. The set out rate is pretty high, and we're collecting about somewhere in about 100 tons a month. So we're similar to kind of where industry averages would be for amount per household. So yeah, I think we're doing okay.
And I think as you reminded people, they can, if they are filling it up between weeks, you can call Public Works and ask for, you're going to be charged double, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you can get that second container if you have a larger household or, you just recycle everything. So it'll be delivered quite quickly too. So.
Yes, very.
Steve?
Thank you. That analysis that the company did in terms of how our stream compares to what they're normally receiving and paying out on, how often will they be doing that and updating our receipts?
Mayor Ross, Alderman Padragula, according to our contract, they'll do it once a year.
So we have a lot of time to kind of get people to kind of improve their behavior, if you will, and
Yeah,
generate
definitely.
more stuff.
Yeah.
Second question was curious why the wet cardboard was a problem. I mean, one would dry out eventually.
No, most of the companies that take the cardboard, they don't want it wet. Sometimes you'll see, places that are storing like bales of cardboard, and you'll see they're out in the elements. That's generally not a good thing. All the wet stuff will generally get thrown out at the sorting facility.
Because it screws up the machines. Because, it gets put in these machines to be.
So it's a processing issue. It's still cardboard.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it just really, and the machines are expensive
Oh yeah.
to sort them. So they don't put things in there that they know will choke it up. So, but cardboard, bad.
Anything else? for Jason. Thank you. Good presentation, Jason.
Thank you.